Welcome to the No State Project. I'm your host, Marc Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land and the Forthcoming Government Indicted, coming to you live from the Fortified Compound in Phoenix, Arizona. It is January 12th, 2013. Glad to be with you. The website, of course, markstevens.net. You can also hear us. You can hear us right here. There you go. And I'm going to have a short video posted, so bear with me. Also, we're on, carried by, of course, LRN.FM, the Liberty Radio Network, and also simulcast on truthfrequencyradio.com. Glad to be with you here. I appreciate everyone tuning in for the show January 12th. And, we're going to be taking calls today at 218-632-9399. That's 218-632-9399. You can also Skype me during the show. It's Grizzle. I can put you into the No State Project chat, but we do now know that we had some... We had some verification that we've got some perverts stalking us in the No State Project chat, so we want to keep that in mind when we do that. Lori Hendrickson mentioned and we'll talk about the train wreck that happened in Idaho this week, unfortunately with Mike. We'll cover that during the show. But Lori Hendrickson mentioned that she has been monitoring the No State Project chat. And Lori Hendrickson, of course, is a psychopath from Washington, D.C. She's the one who prosecuted Mike the second time. They weren't, so we'll get right into that. It's kind of ironic here, the U.S. government with a Stop Fraud website, and they're talking about Idaho businessmen Idaho businessman convicted of income tax evasion, and 2 counts of income tax evasion after a 4-day trial before U.S. District Judge Larry Burns. Patrick was tried on 4 tax fraud counts. In September, that jury rendered guilty verdicts on 2 counts of failure to file 2004 corporate income tax returns, but was unable to reach verdicts on the tax evasion counts. The verdict today was the result of a second trial on those charges. Fitzpatrick was remanded custody immediately. Now, of course, they're not going to have the backstory here. They're just going to give their fluff and try to make it look like Mike was this evil, horrible person. And so, according to the indictment and evidence introduced at both trials, you'll see that he made money, but they don't have anything, and they don't mention any facts that he was actually required to pay and willfully failed to do that. He had money. So I'll discuss this more in upcoming when JT joins us in the next segment. But it says paying. I love Olson is the U.S. attorney, the head U.S. attorney there for that district. Paying income tax is a obligation. Those who hide income and evade taxes by sending money offshore undermine our democracy. This verdict sends a strong message to those who seek to avoid their tax responsibilities will be punished to the fullest extent of the law. This verdict should send a clear message. It's imperative for all Americans to pay their share of taxes, and those who commit income tax evasion will be brought to justice, said Stephen Boyd, IRS Criminal Investigations Special Agent in charge for the state of Idaho. Really? Now, I think what the verdict did, if you know the backstory, because initially, after only a few hours of deliberation, the jury once again came back and said that they were hung. And it was Lori Hendrickson had an audible son of a bitch in response. So they don't give you the whole here, which we're going to, give a much broader story, more context to this than these psychopaths who are stalking us and listening into our conversations will tell you. And so when they came back, the judge said that he's going to have them come back on Friday. This happened Thursday. They said they were hung on Thursday afternoon, and the judge said, "Well, we'll have you come back on tomorrow Friday, and if you're still hung, then I'll declare a mistrial." Well, according to Mike's wife, the jury came back several times, still hung, and the judge ordered them to go back in and make a decision. Can you say social pressure? I mean, every one of those jurors was already forced to be there. They were there on the threat of jail. Now they've got this psychopath named Larry Burns, who's who's telling them they have to make a decision. Now, what they should have done is threw up a collective middle finger and said, well, we'll acquit the guy then. Can we all go home? But they didn't. We know how the herd mentality works. So they took, they went in, they did come back with a verdict. They convicted him on both charges. Now, it says here in their little article, sentencing is scheduled for May 13th. He's not been sentenced yet. But if you go back up here, Fitzpatrick was remanded into custody immediately. Lori Hendrickson had the audacity to say that he was a flight risk. Now, if you know the history, you know Lori is a lying psychopath. There is no evidence whatsoever, regardless of what someone may think about Mike's history on paying taxes and whether he's required or not, is irrelevant to the issue of being remanded into custody immediately as a flight risk. Lori Hendrickson, you are a liar. You have no evidence whatsoever to show that a man who has had a bracelet on since September of 2012 is a flight risk. You are a malicious liar. Must have enraged you when you heard that the jury was refusing to carry out your wishes again. And we kind of predicted, because I did speak to Mike, that what could happen is even if they hang for the second time, they may want you in custody immediately for the previous conviction that you have not been sentenced for. So we knew in advance that this woman has an anger problem. We know she has an issue with the truth because she can't tell the truth to save her life. Well, that's what U.S. attorneys do. They lie for a living, and they are professional conspiracy theorists. But there was no evidence whatsoever to say that Mike was a flight risk, and in fact, she could not have given any. Again, the man has had an ankle bracelet since September of 2012. He doesn't have a passport. He has no money. He has made every single court date without fail. There was no evidence whatsoever. But that is the theme of a tax prosecution. There never is any damn evidence. And what I want to point out, too, is if you remember, and I'll have to get this, Larry Burns, this psychopath here, Larry Burns, Judge Larry Burns from San Diego, who couldn't wait to get back there. He wanted this over fast. He wasn't interested in any kind of truth and justice. He wanted to go back to San Diego. What he said before, and what he also at the pretrial on Monday, before the trial started on Tuesday, was that when Mike challenged jurisdiction, that there wasn't any evidence to show that there was jurisdiction, this psychopath went in a written order, said that the indictment was the evidence. Okay? Then, during his closing, when he did the jury instructions, Larry Burns actually said some truth. And one of the things that he said was that the indictment was not evidence. This man with a straight face said to the jury, who did not know about what happened in pretrial, told them with a straight face, and this is the nature of a psychopath, though. You can say things with no conscience of it. You don't care. You just don't care. And it doesn't matter that the life of a human being is in the balance. They don't care. Okay? He told this jury that the indictment was not evidence. Now, Mike should have objected there and said, excuse me, you ruled before pretrial that the indictment was evidence. And Mike could have presented the documents for the jury to see. At least he could have held it up in court. He didn't do that. Mike made a lot of good points, but he made an awful lot of mistakes, which we'll go through. But this is the nature when you're dealing with psychopaths, Lori Hendrickson and Larry A. Burns. They don't care. They will say and do whatever they want. They actually said during this that the applicability of the code that he was accused of violating was not an element of the crime and did not have to be proven. In fact, on Wednesday, Larry Burns actually said that he was going to allow the applicability of the code to be presumed. My name is Marc Stevens. We'll be back here on the No State Project in just a moment. Don't go away.